Okay, well, on Sunday, Fulham have their third Premier League game. It's Burnley at Craven Cottage. It's 0 points from 6 for Fulham so far, so we'll be hoping to get some points on the board. But it's going to be a difficult test against a side who finished 7th in the league, but maybe they've got one eye on their Europa League exploits. And Fulham know all about a Europa League journey, and Burnley are currently enjoying theirs. I've got Natalie Bromley from the No Nay Never podcast with me to go through everything ahead of Sunday's game. Natalie, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you guys?
Yes, good, thank you.
Good.
Just spoke to you off air that you're not going to Olympiacos on Thursday, which you gutted about. How much do you think your European endeavours are going to have an effect on Sunday's game?
Um, who knows? I mean, it's a difficult question to answer. I think we seem to be embroiled in an early season debate with everybody at the moment. Oh, Burnley's European adventure is going to see them relegated. They've not got the squad to cope, blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of bored of having to defend it already, and we're only 3 weeks in. You guys will appreciate this as much as we will. We're all fundamentally championship sides. You guys have just come up, and it's not that long ago since we were in the championship, and you're used to playing Saturday, Tuesday every week, and there's that relentless run of fixtures. So in that sense, we've got a lot of players who are used to playing that championship style of football. Now there is the travel that you've got to think about, but that is only every other week. It's not like that's every single week. And Dyche has been squad rotating, so the players who are playing in the Europa League aren't the ones who are playing in the Premier League at the moment. So that taking all of that into consideration, we shouldn't see any effect whatsoever. That said, who knows? You know, we had a bit of a difficult game on Saturday where, for some reason, we looked really out of sorts in the second half. And then on top of that, we're playing a newly promoted side who've still got the enthusiasm. And I know you've had a difficult start to the season, but you have still got that enthusiasm of being a newly promoted side, and you've got that bounce of a home support who are, just getting used to Premier League football again down at the cottage. So I genuinely, I keep flitting in my head between, we're going to get beat, or actually, we could win. I honestly don't know.
Obviously, Burnley and their defensive record is well known. How does Dyche like to set up? Is he going to look to frustrate Fulham a little bit on Sunday by, I think it's inevitable that we're going to have probably a bit more of the ball with our passing style of football. But you've come up against lots of very attractive sides and managed to stifle them and nick a lot of points last season. So it's a tried and trusted recipe really for Dyche, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. And to be honest, that's our favourite method. In some respects, if you want to beat Burnley, you almost have to give us the ball, because we aren't a side that is particularly comfortable when we've got a huge amount of possession. We are very, very comfortable off the ball. And some of the games that we won last season comfortably, we had maybe 25-30% of possession. We're quite fine with that, because we can defend very well. It's a massive strong point of our side, is that you will struggle, apart from Watford, who seem to be throwing goals left, right and centre. Standard games, you do struggle to score against us. So Burnley will absolutely set up, especially away from home, to just lock out any chances, deal with balls well, and just try to nick a couple of goals on the break.
How's Joe Hart looking? You seem to have three very experienced English goalkeepers amongst your ranks. You're kind of blessed with goalkeepers at the moment. There's been lots of debate about him in the last couple of years. Lost his England place, of course, but he's been largely impressive, especially in the European ties, from what I've seen.
It's been impressive, full stop. I mean, yeah, Dyche is getting a little bit greedy at the moment and seems to be collecting England goalkeepers. We've got 3/5 of the current roster on our books. But let's be, whilst on paper it looks like it's a strange signing, Nick Pope's out probably till at least January, we would have thought, with a dislocated shoulder, which is a very weird thing to happen to us 2 seasons running. Tom Heaton is now on the bench. He's back in the side, but he has taken a bit of a setback from recovery from his shoulder with a calf strain, and he's not played a competitive game now for 12 months. So Dyche clearly felt that he needed some kind of cover in that area. And Joe Hart, he's had an awful couple of years in terms of confidence blows and bad PR, but you just can't hide from the fact that he's a quality keeper. He's got 75 caps for England. He's got maybe 3, has he, Golden Gloves in the Premier League. He's a quality keeper, and if anybody can get him back on track and get his career and his confidence back up there, then Sean Dyche and Billy Mercer can. Billy Mercer's been with him 4 weeks now, and has already turned him into a confidence player, and one who looks like he's got the weight of the world lifted off his shoulders. And actually, Hart was quite unfortunate to concede 3 on Sunday because, his defence let him down rather than him, and there wasn't an awful lot that he could do about any of them.
What has been your thoughts as a Burnley fan, seeing Fulham and Wolves and the way they've approached coming up to the Premier League this season? Because we kind of know the model that Burnley have used since coming up. Dyche has trusted a lot of the squad that got you to this level, and it's been so successful, more successful than I think anyone could have possibly imagined, and we've kind of come in and really splashed the cash, as have Wolves. Do you think that maybe it's not the right way to try and succeed at this level, to make so many changes so soon?
To be honest, I'm not sure there's a blueprint for that. I'm not sure that there is a tried and tested method. I think it's specific to every single club. Burnley were never, ever going to be able to splash the cash because we don't have the off-field investment that a lot of our competitors do have. So our sole income stream is from television rights from the Premier League. So we know what our budget's going to be, and we also know that we can't really compete with wages off the field. Now, yourselves and Wolves have obviously got very wealthy owners who are prepared to invest in the club, and that's fantastic. But I think there's just so many factors to decide whether or not that's the right approach to make, and it depends on stability of your club and whether or not that's going to trouble you when you go down. It's down to the style of your manager. Does your manager like playing with a small squad? Does he like squad rotation? Does he like variety? And also, does your team operate with, let's say, one big superstar and lots of players around them? Burnley are not a team of superstars. We are a team of grafters, and everybody's at a similar skill level, but they work very well together as a team. Now, we do ask a lot of our players. Now, some seasons that works really well. Look at last season. Well, the last 2 seasons, we've survived and then we finished 7th. At some point, that may very well catch up with us, and we might see ourselves falling out of the Premier League and back to the Championship. So I don't like to cast judgment on whether or not what Wolves and Fulham are doing is the right thing to do, because if it's the right thing for them, it is the right thing for them. And you can spend all that money and still get relegated, or you can spend all that money and thrive in the division. I just don't think there's an answer. I guess the only question mark that I would raise is making so many changes, and both of you have. Will your teams have time to gel as quickly as they need to and perform as a unit? Because in this league, you can't really afford a slow start. Now, you're not too bad at the moment in that you've played some teams that you probably wouldn't have expected to take points off anyway. So they're kind of free passes. But if you look at this division, you take away the top 7 sides, there's 13 fixtures left, 12 fixtures left, 12 home fixtures that you need to look to get points from and ideally win. And that only gets you, 36 points. And then you've got to get some more away points anyway. So you can't afford to bedding slowly. You've got to get those players gelling quickly and getting some points on the board. So that would be, if that was Burnley and we went on a massive spending spree, that would be my concern. But who knows? Hey,
tales of caution. You've done very, very well to survive in what's a very, very competitive Premier League these days. I think a lot has changed for Fulham since the last time we were here. It feels like a completely different place only in 4 seasons. Okay, which the Burnley players then that we need to keep a close eye out for then maybe going forward? Chris Wood just kind of always seems to get in the end of things and bag important goals, as well as the tally that he manages to get. Aaron Lennon still got a bit of pace down the right hand side, and everyone raves about Goodmanson. Who do you think though we should be looking out for?
Well, I think, as I've already mentioned, we don't have a team that has a standout superstar, so I don't think there's particularly names that you need to be aware of. If you look at the back 5 as a whole unit, Ben Mee and James Tarkowski at centre half, if they don't have the lapse in concentration they had in the second half against Watford on Sunday, they're very, very difficult to get balls past. So you're going to have to be on your real best game to try and get something through them. We're not really a side that's known for its creativity. We're more of we do play quite direct football. We get it up to our if we play 4-5-1, I expect Chris Wood to play up front on his own, and he is really dangerous. In terms of creativity, our 2 wingers, Goodmanson and Lennon, are playing really well. Goodmanson's just an absolutely fantastic signing. He's an exciting player, and he can really pull something out of the bag. So if you're going to look out for anybody, I'd say maybe him. But I'd just be cautious of the whole team and cautious of the discipline and the stability that team has, because you're going to struggle to break us down.
What are your memories of Craven Cottage? I think generally Fulham had quite a good record against Burnley, but of course you got a very, very important win in your promotion season down there. I always remember the 3-0 back in 2010, which is your first time in the Premier League, mostly because a very obscure Fulham player called David Elm scored that day, and it was his only goal for Fulham, so it's always kind of one of those trivia facts for Fulham fans. But yeah, what are your memories of Craven Cottage?
Like I say, I've always had fond memories of Craven Cottage. It's a lovely ground, and Fulham fans are just nice. You know, it's one of those. I think most of us in the football world can probably take a look at a selection of teams and think, well, I've got no beef with them at all. You know, they're a nice club. And at Wolves, I would put the same thing as well. The fans are always nice, and Fulham are always just nice, normal fans. They'll have a bit of competitive edge with you, but then it's not nasty. It's always a nice day out. So yeah, and we've always been made to feel very welcome when we've gone down to the Cottage. So I'm quite happy with that. My favourite memory is, like I say, that promotion year when we, when I think the Ben Me chant came out of that, and it was such an important win for us, and it really set us up for promotion that year. So it's the Burnley Fulham fixture is probably exactly what you would expect it to be. There's nothing really that stands out, because it's just a nice day out and a nice game, friendly, competitive game between two sets of fans who get along fine and appreciate what each of them are trying to do. So I'm really pleased that you're back in the Premier League, actually. I think you'll be a really good addition this year. Well, I imagine when our reverse fixture comes around, I think it's in January, no doubt we'll be discussing Fulham's terrible record at Turf Moor. We won't. It'll be fine. I think it's one of the worst records. On the board by then, it'll be fine. I think it's one of our worst records at the worst stadiums. Okay, right, your prediction for the game. It's going to be tough. 3 days after coming back from Athens. I know you said, well, you're bored of talking about it, but I definitely know from when we were in the Europa League and we had mad trips to Russia and to Lithuania, it was always quite tricky to come back and get a result on the Sunday. So what are your thoughts on Sunday? I think it's going to be a really close game, and I suspect that, like I say, away at Athens, Dyche will rest a lot of these players, and I suspect that the key players for Sunday's game, he's rested them so far in the Europa League. There was only I think 3 players who played against Istanbul who ended up playing against Watford on Sunday, so we are playing a secondary side in the Europa League to try and preserve that Premier League status. So most of the players who play on Sunday will not have played on Thursday, so they should be rested. And I fully suspect actually that a lot of the key players for Sunday actually won't travel, just to get that rest, and that they are well prepared. They'll probably stay at home, I would have thought, and actually prepare for Sunday with some of Dyche's coaching staff. So it'll be fine. I suspect it'll be a close. I mean, you guys score quite a lot of decent goals, so I'm not expecting us to keep a clean sheet, but I do think we'll score. So I'm going to go with an optimistic draw. I think 1 apiece. I think would be a fantastic result for us, and I'd be very happy with that. I think it's going to be a close game, I think. Well, I wish you all the best on Thursday, and also in the Olympiacos game after that, because some of my happiest memories, probably all my happiest memories of supporting Fulham are basically those couple of seasons when we got into Europe. It is just the best thing, and it is nice to see a club kind of enjoying their first European tour in such a long time. So do wish you the best on Thursday in Athens, but not the best on Sunday. But fair enough. But Natalie, make sure if you're a Burnley fan or you know any Burnley fans, they check out the No Nay Never podcast. It's pretty much the #1 go-to place as far as I can see for Burnley content. So make sure you check it out. Natalie, thank you for talking to Fulhamish. Thank you. Bye, guys. Come on, Fulham.